some of these restricted legendary Pokemon, and yeah, he'll be representing Australia here.
Oh yeah, and I really love how that we got Ashton on stream. He's one of my favorite players since I like his playstyle a lot. He used to run really creative teams with really niche picks, but now we hop into team preview and we see that it actually kind of looks pretty standardish, right?
Well, yeah, we have, I think, the same 6 Pokemon that Jeremy Rodriguez has already shown on stream, just like last year at the very same tournament, where both of them, they're really good friends and practicing together a lot, where both of them decided to bring the Xerneas and Lunala archetype. Ashton got first and Jeremy got top 4 at that tournament, so they're really trying to repeat success. So far, Jeremy 3-0, still undefeated, and Ashton, as we were saying, already took a loss. And yeah, his opponent, Yuya, will be using that Xerneas and Rayquaza archetype that I was talking about. Something that has, it fell a little bit out of fashion, is not that used that often anymore. But he changed one slot up compared to what he has used in previous tournaments. Now he's using a Kangaskhan instead of what was a Talonflame before. So switching things up a little bit, a second option for a Mega Pokemon besides that Rayquaza.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kangaskhan really one of the best counters to Lunala. So yeah, that might be a good opportunity for Yuya to bring that Kangaskhan into the battle right here.
Well, he switches up like the modes of his team a lot, because with bringing Kangaskhan, you usually tend to leave that Rayquaza at home on the bench, and you can go for Xerneas supported by a double Fake Out from Incineroar and Kangaskhan, and an Amoonguss that redirects attacks and put some Pokemon to sleep. So he got like really different modes, but so does Ashton. He got like 3 fake out users supporting both the strong attacking and speed controlling Lunala, and of course then the Xerneas, who wants to position itself to get Geomancy up.
Yeah, I would say both of these teams really focus a lot on setting up the Xerneas, but both of them have like kind of a little bit of a different approach. So on the one hand, as we were saying, the Amoonguss, like pretty bulky, can put Pokemon to sleep. That is what Yuya is using. And then on the other side, Ashton is using that Smeargle, which we have seen carry the Focus Sash oftentimes.
Yeah.
It also has the option to draw away the attention with Follow Me, or put things to sleep with, say, Spore.
Yeah.
However, is a lot more fragile. And at the same time, both of them have a Kangaskhan for that Fake Out pressure. Both of them have Incineroar for Fake Out and Intimidate. But then, of course, the restricted Pokemon is a little bit different. So let's see here. Ashton opening things up with Crobat and Lunala, going for a Tailwind with the Crobat straight away after taking a Fake Out from the regular Kangaskhan on Yuya's side. And Moonblast just coming out into the Lunala, no Geomancy whatsoever, seeing as he's facing down against a Crobat, a Pokemon that very, very often carries Haze, which is a very strong answer to Xerneas. So yeah, Yuya does not go for the Geomancy. Instead, he just goes for a lot of damage, and after the Fake Out broke the Shadow Shield, that actually did a decent chunk to the Lunala.
And it dropped the special attack. So speaking about Haze, sometimes you now that we got the speed control set up by Crobat, Haze might be an option to get the special attack by Lunala back again.
Yep.
And start firing off strong C moves, maybe into the Xerneas slot, which is now a Incineroar.
Yeah, nice switch there by Yuya, knowing that he already has Kangaskhan on the board. So, well, Ghost Type attacks won't do anything there. And then at the same time, focusing down on the Incineroar also won't really do too much damage. So, yeah, Yuya just preparing nicely to stall out these turns of Tailwind. Of course, Crobat could go for something like a Super Fang to do some damage, but it's also not a Pokemon that really goes for KOs, you know? So Ashton has to find a way to make use of his Tailwind turns. And yeah, goes for the first Super Fang, will do 50% to that Kangaskhan.
Really cleverly played. He expected that Incineroar to come in. Just goes for the safe Super Fang to get that Kangaskhan half lowered, and even more by the recoil damage that it takes from Double Edge. That Crobat is now on the field, still cannot be faked out, but it might be in range for a KO by Fake Out.
Yeah, I mean, you can fake it out, it just doesn't, with Inner Focus, it prevents the flinch, but yeah, the damage, of course, is not prevented. So yeah, that's something that's sometimes a little cheeky, because you do not expect it, but it is a way to knock out Crobat before it moves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ashton has to know his damage calculations there. He might even want to switch in his own Incineroar for a round of Intimidate there, to really lower the damage output of both Incineroar and Kangaskhan of his opponent. Instead, we are seeing the Crobat switching out into his own Kangaskhan.
Yeah. This is a really clever shuffle again. Like, no, we don't see a fake out, but straight away a side shock to take out the Kangaskhan.
Yep.
But on the other hand, he switches in his Kangaskhan to have the fake out pressure the next turn.
Yep.
But so goes Yuya Tada for the infamous U-turn on Incineroar to switch it back on his bench and being able to bring it in and intimidate the Kangaskhan on Ashton's side once again, and having the fake out pressure maybe next to the Xerneas.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty important U-turn. Had Yuya gone for the fake out there, then that would also have meant that Incineroar could not switch in the next turn, and therefore Kangaskhan would have been safe for a turn to go for a fake out, and it would have made sure that there was no Intimidate coming Ashton's way. So Yuya with the U-turn, really, now able to, as we were saying, just reshuffle his board a little bit. Now brings in the Incineroar yet again, another round of Intimidate, and has the fake out pressure that Ashton has to respect. So yeah, it would be an opportunity for Yuya to try and set up the Geomancy. We still have the Crobat in the back, but once Tailwind runs out, of course, the boosted Xerneas would be outspeeding Crobat, and since it is already damaged Xerneas would be able to knock it right out. So a very dangerous position for Ashton, because if you give the Xerneas just one single turn, the game can be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, and his Kangaskhan is intimidated. Lunala still got a special attack drop, so his offensive pressure is not that high at the moment.
Yeah.
That's why he switches out his Lunala for a Crobat, trying to make use of a better board position. But so does Yuya Tada by switching out his Incineroar.
Yeah, I think he wants to go for the fake out on the Xerneas to make sure that there's no Geomancy coming out this turn. But Yuya kind of already changing up his board, once again bringing in the Humongous for potential like Rage Powder in the future. Of course, it doesn't affect Haze, because that's hitting everyone on the field, regardless whether there's like Rage Powder or whatever. But Fake Out going into the Protect, and Yuya not going to try and like gamble for like to set up Geomancy in case Ashton did not go for the Fake Out.
Yeah.
But now, once again, Yuya, Xerneas, I mean, it's not in a good position to go for the Geomancy, but it's in a decent position to maybe knock out the Crobat right away. So that's also something you have to keep in mind. Now that Crobat is so low, and even though Yuya has lost his Kangaskhan, doing so much damage to the Crobat was definitely worth it in my opinion, because only a healthy Crobat is a good counter to Xerneas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you think we're going to see this turn?
Well, I do like how Yuya Tada positioned himself into a position where he just doesn't need to set up with Xerneas to get the knockouts. Like, he's threatening the Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan now is once again intimidated, lowering the pressure it provides really well. Crobat is going for the Tailwind. But yeah, Yuya Tada, I think...
Oh, the Bite coming out. That is, of course, a way... he's going into the Amoonguss, though. He wanted to stop Amoonguss from sporing. Yeah. But now let's see. Okay, it's actually just a Dazzling Gleam. For a second I thought, well, Ashton might be in a little bit of danger, because like Fake Out could knock out the Crobat, so he could have even gone for the Geomancy, but no. Yuya just wants to get the KO first, and knowing that he still has the Amoonguss in the back, for the next turn, what he could do is protect his Xerneas, bring in the Amoonguss, and the next turn go for Rage Powder and Geomancy. And it's really, really tough for Ashton to stop that now that his Crobat has gone down. We have yet to see what the last Pokemon of Ashton is, but if it is his own Xerneas, he really doesn't have any like clear answer to a boosted Xerneas either way, and it's one of those situations where it's like a race to whoever gets the Xerneas boosted first is probably winning the match. But we also haven't really seen any like tech moves coming out from that Incineroar. We have talked about that before.
Yes.
Players tend to use moves like Snarl or Roar specifically for their Xerneas matchup. And that is something that Ashton still has to find out about his opponent's team.
Well, since we see the Amoonguss as well, I doubt there might be a Roar on the Incineroar. It might more be like a Snarl or even a more offensive approach to deal with Lunalas, for example. Speaking about Lunala, Ashton sends in his Lunala. Maybe he wants to set the field with speed control first before he sets up his Xerneas, and then later on deals with the Amoonguss. You're right, Marcus?
Yeah, but both of his Pokemon are only at like just below half HP. So the Xerneas, even though it is not boosted, can KO either Pokemon. And yeah, it is going to be Xerneas, so that is like the last Pokemon of Ashton. So we were correct there, and that's probably also the Pokemon that Yuya expected. But once again, not going for the Fake Out. Instead, it's just a hard switch into Amoonguss, setting himself up perfectly for this next turn. Yeah, I'm expecting a protect, and that is exactly what we see from Xerneas of Yuya. And now for the next turn, he could go for that Rage Powder, draw away all the attention, and then set up the Geomancy that way. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Ashton,
yeah.
That is hitting in the protect probably, so
yeah.
just doing a little bit of chip damage to that Xerneas.
I really have to respect how well Yuya Tada plays the Incineroar with the hard switches instead of going for U-turn, because he wants to have the better pull position the next turn, no matter if someone protects or if the Kangaskhan bites the Incineroar. So I really do like how he switched that Incineroar out again to have that Amoonguss back on the field, still having the fake up pressure in the back.
Yep. Bite, by the way, that might be one option for Ashton to still come back in this game if he gets like a lucky bite in some position. But yeah, if Xerneas manages to set up the Geomancy, then you wouldn't even be able to bite it, since then it would just be faster.
Well, unless, to bite it,
unless he could set up Tailwind, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty difficult. Ashton having lost the Crobat, which is his one Pokemon that does so well against Xerneas.
Yes.
Just makes it very difficult. And Yuya really identifying the threat there, kind of sacrificing his own Kangaskhan in the process of getting rid of Crobat of his opponent, really showing that he made the right choice with that. And yeah, Ashton still kind of has like the more damage potential on the board, since Amoonguss is a purely support Pokemon. Well, let's see what he decided to do. We're seeing a Protect and not the Rage Powder from Amoonguss, so it's going to be a Dazzling Gleam doing a little bit of damage to the Xerneas. Actually, not that bad. Psyshock, though, hitting into the Protect, so nicely done by Yuya. And it's, once again, just the Moonblast that is coming out. It will be hitting into the Lunala. Shadow Shield has been broken, and that is enough for the knockout. So Ashton Cox is down to his last two Pokemon.
And one of his last Pokemon is Xerneas that doesn't want to face the Amoonguss. But on the other hand, if he manages to take out the Xerneas and the Incineroar somehow, Amoonguss is not known for dealing that much damage. So it can do, it usually runs offensive moves like Clear Smoke, which is more of a utility move than something you really get the knockouts with. So there are still some outs for Ashton, but it's really looking harsh at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. We will see the fake out going into Amoonguss, doing a little bit of damage and enough for the flinch, obviously. But Ashton, Xerneas once again is moving first and gets the knockout on Xerneas. So now Yuya is actually just down to his two support Pokemon in Incineroar and Amoonguss. However, he will be able to get intimidated on the Kangaskhan, and then Amoonguss is just so difficult to take out. But with Yuya needs like repeated spores and just slowly whittle down his opponent, whereas Ashton has to hope that maybe he wakes up, maybe gets a critical hit with Double Edge, because that would bypass all of the Intimidate drops. Yeah. So it's still anyone's game, but I think I would give the advantage to Yuya at the moment.
Yeah, it actually looks like that, but it comes down to where Yuya Tada sees, like, does he expect a Protect or a Geomancy Xerneas? You have to respect both options, right? And then that Kangaskhan is still able to flinch both Incineroar or Amoonguss with bites, and once you flinched them into a range where you can knock them out with Double Edge and Moonblast combination. And there we see Incineroar goes for Fake Out into Kangaskhan, and Ashton's Xerneas is able to get off a Geomancy.
Well, of course, usually Geomancying in front of an Amoonguss is not that clever of a play, because most of them will carry Clear Smog, so that Amoonguss usually can put it to sleep first with the Spore, then go for the Clear Smog and get rid of all the boosts. However, in this particular situation, Yuya had to choose a target, and he decided to go for the Spore on Kangaskhan, so now Xerneas now might have one turn where it can really use all of the boosts that it just acquired with Geomancy. Had Yuya, on the other hand, spored the Xerneas, then Kangaskhan could have gone for the Bite the next turn to try and flinch the Amoonguss and stop it from moving. So it's a really dicey situation, and even though it's kind of clear, like both of them are down to their last two Pokemon, no more switches, it's really difficult to play this perfectly. Moonblast coming out into the Incineroar, it will not be enough to get the knockout. And yeah, let's see if Clear Smog is the move of choice here for you. Actually, that Flare Blitz, if it does a lot of damage, we might be seeing some recall, but nope. Kangaskhan already so low on health, so yeah, if anything, this will put Incineroar in Berry range, if that is the item, but nope. No Berry there, and Spore coming out into Xerneas. And yeah, now it looks kind of grim for Ashton. Xerneas hasn't taken a turn of sleep, so it will have a guaranteed sleep turn the next turn. And Amoonguss is just so difficult to knock out with the Xerneas, even if you had all the boosts. But yeah, I have a feeling that Clear Smog might be coming out this turn, and all the boosts that it acquired with its hard work might be gone.
And we do see Incineroar going for a Flare Blitz into Xerneas and doing a really good amount of damage. And there you go. The Clear Smoke is coming.
Yep.
Again, doing super effective damage, and next turn the Clear Smoke will be even more powerful because the defensive boosts are also gone.
Yep.
So Yuya Tada, even though an Amoonguss and an Incineroar, both support Pokemon, face off against the Mega Kangaskhan and the Xerneas. Yeah. It looks pretty clear on paper, but
yeah, that just really goes to show how the strategy, like positioning, is so important. And even though Yuya never actually got to set up his own Xerneas, he was just able to use its attack regularly unboosted. And I mean, people sometimes forget how much damage Xerneas can do even without the Geomancy boost. With Fairy Aura, getting a boost to all Fairy type attacks is just so powerful even without the Geomancy. Yeah, and that's really what Yuya was able to show off here. Ashton, I think, probably selected the right Pokemon for this matchup. Crobat is really good if it gets to do Crobat things, which would be set up Tailwind and then go for some Hazes and some Super Fangs. But over the entirety of the battle, I mean, he set up Tailwind I think twice, but he only got to use one Super Fang, and that was it. And that was just not enough really to stop the team of Yuya, which has the defensive synergy with Incineroar, Kangaskhan, and Amoonguss. Just such a strong supporting squad. And Crobat is a little bit of a hit or miss kind of Pokemon. Like either it goes really, really well if you manage to like stop your opponent from setting up and you set up yourself, then it's an easy game. But Yuya just never really allowed that to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ashton switched things up significantly. We could be seeing maybe the Smeargle. Yeah, that's one Pokemon that can really switch things up a lot. With Moody Boost, you never really know what is going to happen. And we also haven't seen the Tapu Fini of Yuya, which means, there wasn't any Misty Terrain there, so Smeargle could go ahead and Spore around a little bit.
Yeah, on the other hand, like, Amoonguss is a really good pick against Smeargle all the time. Clear Smog always hits no matter how many boosts Smeargle got.
Yeah, that's
true. Gets away with the boost. Can't get Spored. That's why some players opt to run Lovely Kiss on Smeargle. Yep. So I'd rather... I'm on your side. Like, I think he's bringing a second Fake-Out user, and maybe he tries to just pressure Yuya a bit more, like with his own Fake-Outs, instead of capitalizing on a potential Tailwind a bit better. Maybe that Lunala might be again some key to victory with strong Psyshocks, getting rid of Amoonguss, but.
And in the past game, Lunala didn't really do that much, you know, so it's really tough. Comes down to selection and team preview here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Incineroar on Ashton's side, just because Intimidate is so nice against Kangaskhan, and then Kangaskhan doesn't do that much damage against Crobat, and then Crobat maybe can stay in the game a little longer. Yeah. Yuya opening up with the same lead as in the first game. We are seeing Kangaskhan and Xerneas coming out, and Ashton switching things up just a little bit. Crobat and Xerneas for him.
Even though we do see Crobat, which may not be flinched by Fake Out, I think like Yuya might have the upper hand kind of bit. Like, of course you can go for Taunt onto Xerneas, you can go for Tailwind. You have to respect different options. Yep. So I really do like the Xerneas Kangaskhan lead here.
Yeah, let's see what Xerneas can do now for Ashton this time. And we're not seeing the Lunala just yet. Might indicate that maybe he didn't bring it and switch things up there a little bit. Yeah. So far, I think on stream we've only seen 2-0 victories. So let's see if Yuya continues that trend or if Ashton manages to take it back here. Once again, Crobat could just set up the Tailwind. It doesn't have to worry about really anything coming up from Yuya, unless Yuya once again goes for the offensive. Double Edge and say Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam could be enough to knock out the Crobat. And Xerneas just protecting, so let's see if Yuya decided to go for that.
Well, taking out Crowbot pretty early was like kind of the key to victory for Yuya in the last match. And we do see the same strategy again. Yuya straight going for the double edge into the Crowbot.
Nicely done, nicely done. And what does Xerneas do? I would be very surprised if this was a Geomancy. Nope, it is a Moonblast into the Crowbot. And you can see it on Ashton's face. He is not happy with how that went. He could have just gone for the Geomancy unchallenged, really. But nope. Yuya, as we were saying, doubling up into the Crowbot, taking it out already, and now you really have to think, oh, well, was it worth it? I mean, he set up the Tailwind, he has the speed advantage, but at what cost? He lost the Pokemon, and Amoonguss doesn't really care about speed advantage. Amoonguss is slow and can take any hits from Xerneas, no matter whether it's super fast or double super fast, so...
Well, speaking about the Amoonguss, like, I really do like that Incineroar is now on the field.
Yeah.
Because Amoonguss doesn't want to switch in, and we got the immediate pressure of Fake Out onto the Xerneas. Ashton's Xerneas can go for a Geomancy, as we see, but we do not even see a Fake Out.
Do you think that might mean that there is something like a Roar coming out from Ashton? That is not something that we've talked about on his side, but yeah, he brought the Incineroar this time around. Yeah. As we suggested, maybe instead of the Lunala. So if there is a Roar, yeah, that could be an option for him to get rid of the boosts or potential boosts that we might see if Yuya decides to go for Geomancy, which is what he does. So that's a big question here. Does Ashton have a Roar?
Really change thing. Like, you don't expect an immediate Roar after you set up Tailwind.
Yeah.
And that Fake Out was kind of an obvious choice on the first side. But if you think about it, it's really hard to predict that having a Roar instead of a Fake Out. Or is there a
Bite coming out by Kang? No! It's actually... Oh, Incineroar outspeeding the Kangaskhan here, going for the U-turn, getting the critical hit, but if that Kangaskhan has Roar, then, well, then I think the game might already be kind of over, because then Ashton is left with not many choices at all. Power Herb being used, or maybe it's just the Tailwind. No, there is the Roar. Oh, yeah, big play by Yuya.
Oh yeah.
He really showing off that, well, you have the Crowbot, that is one Pokemon that can get rid of all the boosts, but well, I have Kangaskhan, and he found room for that attack move, roaring away his opponent's Xerneas, and yeah, you can really see it on Ashton's face. He is not happy with how that went.
Oh,
and the chances for him to get yet another victory here at this tournament that he really loves are getting slimmer and slimmer.
Yeah, Roar on Kangaskhan is more popular than people might think.
Yeah.
Like, we got... it only ever needs like Fake Out, Double Edge and Bite, and then you go for another option like Low Kick if you really want to hit Stuck Attackers and something. You can go for Sucker Punch. But Raw is a really interesting option, and we saw that Raw coming on the wrong side of the field.
Oh well, yeah, if you're in Ashton shoes then certainly. And we're also seeing Bite now. So, okay, going for the Kangaskhan, I thought for a second that this was going into the Incineroar, because now it's also revealing Roar. And yeah, Bite would have been one way to maybe have a chance of preventing that from happening, but all of a sudden, okay, playing field is even again. Well, very even. We're seeing Incineroar and Kangaskhan for both players, and both of them also have a Xerneas. However, Yuya has one more Pokemon in the back, whereas Ashton's Crowbot has already fainted. So
this is really interesting now. It comes down.
Ashton doesn't want to give up just yet. With that Roar, of course, he still now has a fighting chance again. So, well, that was one step that Ashton needed to come back into this game. But now his opponent has the option to go for Fake Out once again, or he could just U-turn, as Yuya has done before in similar situations. And yeah, no more Geomancy for this game, since both Power Herbs are already consumed. Yeah, this is a little bit awkward.
This is really awkward, and now we are going to see like loads of Fake Out and redirection plays. So if I were about to play it, try to take out one of the Fake Out users as soon as possible to just get rid of that Fake Out shuffling immediately, and to deal damage with the Xerneas. Xerneas is now the main damage dealer for both players on the field, and they want to have it stay healthy so that it can deal damage. But this is going to be how we see a U-turn from Incineroar again into the Kangaskhan. Yuya might bring in either Kangaskhan to have more Fake Out pressure. Yeah, he does, and to get off the free Spore now. Which is like really interesting. Yeah,
Tailwind is over now for Ashton's side, and since Crowbot has fainted, there's no way for him to get that back in the game. And the last Pokemon that Yuya has that Ashton does not have is the Amoonguss. So that is really one way for Yuya to get further ahead in this game. Just put some Pokemon to sleep, and then over time you will naturally come out on top because he just has one more Pokemon.
Yes. But on the other hand, if Ashton keeps attacking more than Yuya does, there's always a chance to land some critical hits. So if he by somehow lands to take out 1 or 2 Pokemon with boosted Moonblast or double edges, this might be the chance for Ashton to come back. But yeah, as you said, on paper, Yuya's got the same lineup plus Amoonguss.
Yep. And Yuya is not really overextending here, just protects the Amoonguss because he knows, well, there might be a Fake Out coming. That is exactly what Ashton tried to do. But now Yuya got his own Incineroar in, just as Ashton did, so now they could trade Fake Outs once again. But Ashton, as soon as one of his Fake Out Pokemon goes to sleep, it will be very difficult to keep on this game of switching in and out, going for the U-turn. But actually, we're just seeing the bite. Ashton says it's time for a big turn here. Yuya not going for the Fake Out, just the U-turn once again. So if Ashton manages to land maybe a Flare Blitz into that Amoonguss, that would be really big.
That would be really big, and I really like how he now goes for U-turns instead of hot switches, because those 2 Pokemon kind of protect, so he's free to chip and chip and chip each turn. And we do see a Orca Berry, didn't we? That Flare Blitz is probably not gonna get the KO.
Still the chance for the flinch. That is what Ashton really needs.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets it. Okay.
Yeah.
Ashton, well, shaking his head, indicating that, well, even with that flinch, it's going to be a long way for him to win the game. But Orca Berry, another interesting choice here on Yuya's team. We've seen Focus Sash quite a lot on Amoonguss in this year's format. But with Orca Berry, of course, there's quite a few Fire-type attacks on Groudon or Incineroar that are, well, on a lot of teams, so makes sense.
Yeah.
And with that Orca Berry now, Amoonguss not taking that much damage, and we would expect it to have Regenerator as its ability. So Yuya could do what he really likes to do, which is switching out, maybe switching into Incineroar, and then regenerating some health in the process. So even though Ashton was able to do quite some damage with that Flare Blitz and Bite combination, if Yuya switches out the Amoonguss, a lot of that damage will be healed back up again.
And there you go, there you go. This is a really difficult situation for Ashton. Ashton had to go after that Amoonguss just to get it knocked out, because Xerneas can't take it out. And if Yuya Tada can just switch in Incineroar into that slot all day long, it takes every move that Xerneas, that Incineroar throws at it, and he starts getting off damage onto the Xerneas.
Yeah, now this would be the opportunity for Ashton to get a KO on the Kangaskhan if Flare Blitz is launched into that slot, and nope. Unfortunately for Ashton, he really wanted to cover that Amoonguss to hopefully get the knockout there, but nope. Yuya once again switching in his Pokemon. He's just been really so smart with his resources in this game, in these games, also in the first game, just making sure that his Pokemon do not faint, and instead just switching them in and out. And yeah, with Incineroar and Amoonguss, the synergy between the 2 Pokemon is just incredible.
Oh yeah.
Now doing a ton of damage to Ashton's Xerneas with Kangaskhan's Double Edge. And yeah, once again, what is there left for Ashton to do in this game, really? He could get the knockout on Kangaskhan this turn. Maybe something like a Protect and U-turn could help. However, Yuya's Incineroar could go for the Fake Out. And there
it goes. There it goes. And Kangaskhan is going for the Double Edge into the Incineroar. He saw the Protect coming because Ashton had to respect that. And Ashton is really on the back foot right now.
Yeah, but even in a situation like this, though, Yuya is not giving Ashton any room to breathe. He's calling the Protect. He will lose his Kangaskhan, though, so now at least the Pokemon count is equal with 3 against 3.
Yeah.
But that Amoonguss is still waiting in the back for Yuya. And, well, he has the option to also reset Intimidate with his Incineroar once again. So, once again, I mean,
it's not over yet, by any means.
It's still not over, since, well, Incineroar still threatens the Flare Blitz into Amoonguss. Now the Orca Berry has been consumed, and even though Incineroar is intimidated and Amoonguss regenerated back some health, maybe a combination of, say, like Moonblast and Flare Blitz could get the KO in that slot. Ashton, well, on the other hand, Yuya could protect the Amoonguss, maybe U-turn with Incineroar into the Xerneas that helped just protect it. so you're kind of safe with that play.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ashton, like, if Ashton makes one single mistake, Amoonguss will just like put something to sleep, or Incineroar will get a free switch out, and then the game might just be over. But nope, no protects, and maybe Dazzling Gleam and Flare could knock out that Amoonguss.
I think this is what Ashton obviously is hoping for.
Yep.
But first, I think we're gonna see the knockout on Ashton's Xerneas.
Yep. There
so
it
this
comes.
is a really good knockout for Yuya Tada, because Xerneas was the main damage dealer for Ashton. And does the Flare Blitz? Oh,
okay.
There we go. There we go.
Gets the knockout. He will take some recoil in the process, and has already consumed its berry. And now, since Ashton is down to his very last 2 Pokemon, there's also no way for him to reset Incineroar's Intimidate and Fake Out, which usually, well, they are good if you enter the field, which Incineroar now cannot do anymore. Yuya on the other side, down to his last 2 Pokemon as well, and Ashton still has his trusted Kangaskhan, and if that outspeeds Xerneas, well, it has Bite. We have seen that before.
Yeah.
And that is one option to deal a lot more damage. Whereas Incineroar on Yuya's side, well, it's kind of awkward. Incineroar and Incineroar, they kind of like cancel themselves out, because neither of them can do a lot of damage to the other one. So maybe the focus for Yuya's Incineroar would be to do damage to Kangaskhan on Ashton's side.
Yeah, I think he wants that, because both Incineroar and Kangaskhan on Ashton's side, the big dealing moves, do produce recoil.
Yeah.
So if he really wants to focus to KO the Xerneas on Yuya's side, and Xerneas is really bulky, they take loads of recoil.
Low kick though coming
there we
out
go.
now. That's not something that we've seen so far from Ashton's Kangaskhan, and that is really now turning the tides a little bit. He did not have to go for the double edge, which would have done quite some recoil. However, isn't enough to take that Moonblast. No! And that would probably seal the game, as Yuya Xerneas with that Moonblast able to knock out the Mega Kangaskhan of Ashton, and this Flare Blitz is not enough for the knockout.
Yeah.
Xerneas will outspeed Incineroar, and that will be it, I think, for Ashton's tournament run. I mean, he can still play on the remaining rounds, of course. He could still make it maybe into top 16. But he will not win this tournament for the 3rd time, which is crazy enough already. But yeah, good sportsmanship there. The shake hands is coming out, and Yuya winning this round. Yeah, he's also celebrating there a little bit with the fists. But Ashton, really one of the favorites going into this tournament, specifically here in Brazil. He has done so well in the past. Now